Okay, so this week's course was Lodestone Golf Course in McHenry, Maryland. McHenry, Maryland is a town just north, slightly north of the Wisp Resort. It's out by Deep Creek Lake in western Maryland, Garrett County. This is a approximately 3-hour drive out to the northwest from DC, and it was actually a pretty nice drive. I took 66 out to 81 basically, and you cross over, and you can either go up, I think it's Highway 48, which takes you way out to the northern tip of West Virginia and then crosses over into Maryland west of Frostburg, or you can take 70 and 68 out that way, maybe 3.5 hours by the time you negotiate all these back roads in the area north of West Virginia. But it was a fun round. I want to say, I guess, basically that the course is a fairly middle of the road kind of course for a mountain course. It's 7,500 yards from the back tees, slope 142, and I believe it's a course that one would call modest in its aspirations, yet exceeding its implied limits. Let's put it that way. It is basically a woods course that's in the mountains. It's not high in the mountains. It's not very steep mountains. It's decently rolling hills for the most part and playing along a set of hills. But it is not so enclosed by trees and woods and so forth that you can't see anything outside the course. You can definitely get some nice shots of Deep Creek Lake, and there's some scenes of other mountains and so forth in the area. So it's pretty nice in that regard. Not like you're playing in the Rocky Mountains or the Red Rocks or something like that, but still quite decent for a mountain woods course. I think the layout is a good, solid layout. It doesn't really bring any huge surprises or huge aspirations, but it's a decent layout. And I think that what makes this course special, certainly makes it worth the drive, is it takes your fairly average woods course that's in the 130, 135 range in terms of slope, and it dials it up, 2 or 3 notches until you're about 11. And it's a subtle 11. And it's an 11 that you realize when you are like out there on the course that this course it looks like a mundane mountain course, a woods course, but it actually plays quite a bit tougher than pretty much any course you've ever played before. I think between the length and the fact that it is, I guess I would say it has very tight shoulders. And so while it does have some decent width in a fair number of the holes, you just don't have a lot of room to play with. You don't have a lot of room for error. Let's put it that way. You can keep the ball in the center or try to keep the ball in the center and play the course, and then it's okay. But then you have to deal with the length. And the problem is when you're talking about, holes that can run up to 640 yards from the back tees, it had, I think, at least 2 or 3, certainly 3 at least, 628 plus yard par 5s, a good number of 580 yard par 5s and 500 yard 450 to 500 yard par 4s. Nothing that was too long. I certainly didn't think that there were any holes in the course that were beyond the capability for me to play them in par. But the challenge is, you take this on hole after hole after hole. The shortest par 3 on the course was 170 yards. They all have 50, 75, 100 yards of carry off the tee. A lot of them have good drops or so forth right in front of the green or to the sides of the green. And you just can't be sloppy on this course. It's one of those courses where you really have to weigh the benefit of taking a longer shot or taking a shot that you can make sure is going to stay in play. And that, I think, is a sign of a very good course. It doesn't have to be super tough, super hard, super tight, super challenging. It just needs to be challenging enough for long enough. It needs to be consistent enough to make it a good challenge. It's not like there are too many houses, but there still are enough houses where that is a factor, okay? Even though they're not a big problem, there's still a factor. And it's not like Pack Saddle Ridge or some of these other courses where there are no houses on the course, okay? And there's a big difference between playing a course where there are no houses and playing a course where there are some houses. Not even a lot of houses, but some houses. There's just that much of a difference. The last thing, I think, the big thing I would say really kind of got me about this course is it just took one guy to slow the whole course up. We were, I got there at 3 o'clock. I mean, I'm on the course at 3 o'clock trying to play this round, and there was a twosome ahead of me, and there was a guy behind me, and we were all kind of keeping pace with each other and so forth, and so on until we got to like the eighth hole, that par 3 8 hole is 220, and you just look over a cliff on the far side of the hole. And he was just out there, he could not have been taking more time playing multiple shots. He's playing multiple shots. He's the only guy. I didn't see anyone ahead of him. And this one douchebag slows up everybody all the way around the rest of the course just to get his shot right, just to get it exactly the way he wants it. It's a hard course, and it just it takes a little bit of, your ego away to play a course like this, because you're missing shots and losing balls where ordinarily you wouldn't. Okay, but to fold it over and then cut it and bake it again by trying the same shot 3 times, it doesn't help you make it the first time. It doesn't help you make it the second time. You've taken it 3 times. Okay, holy shit, dude, move your ass off the course. And we were all, the guys that were all with me, around me, we all kind of like 2 of them just drove off back to the front side. And, we're sitting there and we can watch this guy for an hour, it seemed like, on every hole. Every time we look up, we're ready to hit the ball. There he is, still in range, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, and I'm not going to lie to you, that does suck quite a bit of joy out of playing just about any golf course when you have to spend too much time waiting and watching somebody else play. There's no question about that. And that happened this time. This is why I don't like to play a course in heavy traffic time. I like to play a course either on a Monday or a Friday or a Sunday, in the afternoon after almost all the guys who's gone out there and played. I could go out, and even if I don't play fast, I still don't have to wait for anybody else. Even if I'm not playing fast, I'm still not holding up other people in course. And I will happily wave people by. I'll go do whatever you want to do, because I'd rather take my time and play the course without people behind me or holding people up, or than race for 3 hours to play an 18-hole course instead of taking 4 hours to play an 18-hole course and enjoy it. That's not an insignificant thing that you were racing for 3 hours to play a golf course, as opposed to taking your time and enjoying the round. And I think it's entirely fine for people to take their time and enjoy a round, just not while other people are standing there watching them, hole after hole after hole. That's when it gets to be obnoxious. So because this happened, I would like to go out and play this course during the week when it's almost empty, and certainly when there's plenty of daylight and I can drive back mostly in the daylight, at least, until I get back within like 10 or 15 miles of DC. I think it requires a certain amount of planning to do this, and it requires a certain amount of, you need to get off your butt in the morning and get on the road, to do this, to arrive at the course at like 12, get your 4 hours in and get off the course well before dark, have a decent drive home. But I think this course is worth it. There's no question in my mind, this course is worth that. If you go out and play this course and you're rushing or waiting, or you play it late, you are making a major mistake, because instead of enjoying the course for 4 hours, you're suffering for 4 hours. And that is almost never going to be worth it. If you're a player more than someone who's just out there to drink beer and smoke cigarettes and listen to music in your cart, it's almost just torture to sit there and watch somebody else play golf, then play the same hole, while you're cold. Okay, that's just almost literally just like taking your arm and twisting up on your back for 4 hours. I would avoid that at all costs. I would definitely play this course. I think if you live in the Washington, D.C. area and don't play this course, you are missing a gem. It's not in the greatest condition. It's not the easiest course to get to. But in my very honest opinion, this is one of the best public courses within 150 miles of DC. I kid you not. And if you really call yourself a golfer, you owe yourself a trip to this course. It is not that expensive. It's not that far. It's a public course. It's not that hard to get on. It is worth every penny. That's Lodestone Golf Course. I will give it a solid A-. It could be in better condition. If it was, I would definitely give it an A, but still an A-. Lodestone Golf Course in Wisp, Maryland.